జన్యుపరంగా అభివృద్ధి చేసిన పంటలపై తక్షణమే ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్తో పాటు ఇతర రాష్ట్రాల్లో క్షేత్రస్థాయి పరిశోధనలు నిలిపివేయాలి. బీటీ వంకాయపై పూర్తిస్థాయి విచారణ జరపాలి. జన్యు సాంకేతిక మదింపు సంఘాన్ని పునర్వ్యవస్థీకరించాలి. ఇవి స్థూలంగా జన్యు మార్పిడి పంటలపై పార్లమెంటరీ స్థాయి సంఘం చేసిన సిఫార్సులు. జన్యు మార్పిడి పంటలపై వివాదం ఏంటి? ఎందుకు ఈ పంటలపై తీవ్రమైన వ్యతిరేకత వ్యక్తమవుతోంది? సరైన పరీక్షలు లేకుండానే ప్రభుత్వం అనుమతులు ఇవ్వడానికి ఎవరు ఒత్తిడి తెస్తున్నారు? ప్రలోభాలకు లొంగిపోయిన నాయకులెవరు? ఈ ప్రశ్నలన్నింటికీ ప్రఖ్యాత పరిశోధనా సంస్థ సిసిఎంబి మాజీ డైరెక్టర్, సుప్రీంకోర్టు నియమించిన నిపుణుల కమిటీ అధ్యక్షుడు డాక్టర్ పిఎం భార్గవ ఏం చెబుతున్నారు? ఈటీవీ ప్రతినిధి కామేశ్వరరావుకు ఇచ్చిన ముఖాముఖిలో భార్గవ చెప్పిన విషయాలు ఆయన మాటల్లోనే చూద్దాం.
I think there were pressures, certainly not from the environment minister. I think the environment minister is a very decent man. Who was the environment minister at that time? Jairam Ramesh. I know him extremely well, and I must say I think very highly of him. He is a very good personal friend, and there were no pressures from him. But it was very well known that the Prime Minister wanted it, that Kapil Sibal wanted it, that Sharad Pawar wanted it, and Chidambaram and Montek wanted it. I have the privilege of knowing all of them personally. So they all wanted it. They all wanted BT Brinjal to be approved. And they wanted it because the United States wanted it. So the United States desperately wanted India to approve BT Brinjal because that will open the doors for them, for their seed companies to have total control of Indian agriculture through GM crops. There's about 30 GM crops that are in the pipeline. So we were playing at very, very high stakes. So the plant, the problem is once you release it, you cannot recall it. Therefore, you must go through all the safety tests. And none of these tests, which really was absolutely crucial, were done. And the small number of tests that were done badly. And either by the company itself or on samples given by the company. Therefore, it's as good as not being done. So in other words, we were presenting to the GAC a proposal of releasing BT Brinjal, open release, without the product really ever having gone through appropriate safety testing. In GAC, there were a large number of people, that is those who attended GAC meetings. There were a number of people who never attended GAC meetings. But those who attended GAC meetings had a conflict of interest. They themselves were engaged in genetic engineering, or they came from DBT or ICR. And DBT and ICR, Department of Biotechnology and Indian Council of Agricultural Research, really have been acting as vendors of the technology. Now you can't have vendors as regulators, that's the first principle. But they were there sitting on the Genetic Engineering Approval Committee. The right here in Andhra Pradesh, Warangal district. In Warangal district, on at least two consecutive years, several thousand cattle, sheep and goat, that fed on the remnants of the BT cotton plants after cotton was harvested, died. And their autopsy showed that their intestines had shriveled. Now, we have been repeatedly saying, why don't we do an experiment? Why don't we feed the remnants of BT cotton plant to animals and see whether this was the cause? I'm quite certain that it was the cause, because there is a paper by a group of Indian authors from Delhi University showing that BT gene, both in cotton and in brinjal, is toxic to the plant, which means there is a toxin generated in the plant, and that toxin could also be toxic to animals.
It can have impact on human beings.
It certainly can. We don't know. In fact, my personal feeling is that there's a correlation between the higher incidence of GI gastrointestinal tract disorders in Americans and the consumption of GM crops, GM food. That ICR had developed integrated pest management and biopesticides for 80 crops, including brinjal, including cotton. Why didn't we use IPM and biopesticide? Why did we need BT brinjal and BT cotton? We have our own technologies which are less expensive, less harmful to the environment. Why didn't we use that? What does it all show? It shows that we are sold out. I asked him, I said, one of the things that I said to him was that, what has the government done about 260,000 farmer suicides? Has there been a single note of concern, statement of concern from anybody in the government? Just imagine, ever in history, has it ever happened? 260,000 farmers committing suicides within a span of 10 to 12 years. And most of these are cotton farmers. And many of these are farmers who have used BT cotton. Shouldn't there have been an inquiry? So today, if you try to get non-BT cotton seed, you can't get it. The large number of farmers who want to use non-BT cotton seed. We had a whole meeting in Bangalore. The large number of these farmers' organizations came and said, we just can't find non-BT seed. Now, isn't it the duty of the government to provide this? We have a national seed corporation. We have the state seed corporations. They've all gone to seed. Why are they not taking care of this? It's their job to provide seed. So we are leaving, and please remember that if somebody wants to control the destiny of our country, they are not going to drop an atom bomb on us. All that they do is to control agriculture, because 64% of Indians derive their total sustenance from agriculture. So the point is that the prescription is all very clear. What we should do is very, very clear. So the government has to now take note of this committee, accept its recommendations, and say no field trials of GM crop. You can do research. You can do trial in your lab, but no field trials.
Don't you think it's the right time we should have some statutory or regulatory body for this purpose?
Well, we have a regulatory body. The point is that those regulatory bodies haven't worked properly. We have on paper, we have rules and regulations, and we have a regulatory body. But those regulatory bodies simply haven't worked properly. So we need to have a regulatory system. Revamp them. That's what the parliamentary committee also recommends. That you should have an independent regulatory body where no one has any conflict of interest. Now GSE, the term of the present GSE expired in April. After April, the GSE has not been reconstituted at all. They could have reconstituted the GSE appropriately.
Connection